The night was suffocatingly still as Ethan Carter sat up in bed, heart pounding from a dream he couldn't remember. His phone buzzed on the nightstand, the screen glowing like a pale eye in the darkness. He hesitated before answering, fear prickling his skin. A trembling voice whispered, "They know where you are," before dissolving into static. Ethan's breath caught, and his pulse thundered in his ears. Suddenly, a blood-curdling scream echoed outside his window, sharp and desperate, then vanished into silence. Ethan rushed out into the damp, moonlit street, barefoot and shaking. No one was there. Only a single strange object lay on the cracked pavement, marked with symbols that seemed to crawl under the light. His gut twisted as he reached for it, sensing the moment his life began to unravel. Ethan stumbled back into his house, clutching the strange object tightly, his breath ragged. The whispering voicemail replayed in his mind, blending with the echo of that distant scream. He set the object on the kitchen table, staring at the symbols as they seemed to crawl like living veins. "What the hell are you?" he muttered, fear and anger twisting his voice. His hands trembled as he reached for a notepad to sketch the markings, but his phone buzzed again. A text message appeared. "You shouldn't have touched it." Ethan froze, dread settling deep in his chest. His pulse quickened, and he felt eyes on him though the house was empty. A knock rattled Ethan's door, sharp and urgent. His body went rigid, fear rooting him in place. Slowly, he approached and peered through the peephole. A woman stood there, her face obscured by the hood of her dark coat. Against his better judgment, he opened the door slightly. "Who are you?" he demanded. The woman's voice was calm but cryptic as she said, "You've already been seen. The countdown has started." Ethan's breath caught as she handed him a folded note and turned to leave. "Wait!" he shouted, but she vanished into the night like smoke. His hands shook as he unfolded the note. It read, 24 hours. Ethan sat at the kitchen table again, staring at the note beside the strange object. The symbols and numbers seemed to blur together, creating a sickening rhythm in his mind. His phone buzzed once more, and he snatched it up. A new message flashed on the screen. "The first has already fallen." His chest tightened as he muttered, "What does that mean?" His gaze shifted to the window, where a dark silhouette lingered for just a moment before vanishing. Panic gripped him. Someone was watching. He bolted the door, but the sense of being hunted only deepened. The house fell silent except for the relentless ticking of the kitchen clock. Ethan's phone buzzed yet again, this time with a video message. He hesitated, then pressed play. A digital timer filled the screen, glowing bright red, already counting down from 24:00. A distorted voice said, "Every hour, another piece will fall. Stop it or lose everything." Ethan's breath came fast as he whispered, "Oh God." His reflection stared back at him in the phone screen, pale and desperate. For the first time he realized he wasn't just a target, he was a pawn in something much bigger. Ethan sat alone in his dim living room, the strange object resting on the coffee table like a curse. He traced the glowing symbols with his finger, desperate for meaning. As dawn broke, he noticed a faint engraving beneath the markings. An address. His breath caught as he whispered, "This can't be real." Fear clawed at him, but he knew he had no choice. The address might hold answers, or more danger. He grabbed his jacket and left, his steps quick and unsteady. The street was silent, shrouded in morning mist. When he arrived, the building at the address was a crumbling warehouse, its windows shattered like broken teeth. Inside, a rancid smell of decay greeted him, and he froze. In the center of the room lay a small, bloodied scarf. His pulse thundered as he realized this was no accident. Someone had already been claimed by the countdown. Ethan burst through his front door, sweat beading on his brow. He found Lily, his younger sister, waiting in the kitchen with a worried expression. "Ethan, where have you been?" she demanded, her voice trembling. "You look like hell." Ethan tried to hide the blood-stained scarf behind his back, but she noticed immediately. "Is that blood?" she gasped, stepping back. You wouldn't understand, Ethan said, his voice breaking. Something's happening, and I don't have time to explain. Lily's eyes filled with fear. You're scaring me. Tell me what's going on. Ethan clenched his fists. If I tell you, you'll be in danger too. Silence stretched between them as the kitchen clock ticked loudly, marking the passage of their dwindling time. Desperate for help, Ethan drove to the police station. The air inside smelled of coffee and stale paper. Detective Marcus Hayes, a grizzled man with tired eyes, looked up from his cluttered desk. You again? Hayes grumbled. Ethan placed the strange object and scarf on the table. People are dying and I'm next, he pleaded. Hayes examined the items, unimpressed. This looks like a prank, he said flatly. Ethan slammed his fist down. Listen to me. I found this at an abandoned warehouse. Someone screamed, and now there's a countdown. Hayes leaned back, rubbing his temples. Even if you're telling the truth, we can't act on paranoia. Ethan's chest heaved as despair settled in. Then you're already too late, he whispered before storming out. Back at home, Ethan sat on the couch, head in his hands. Lily quietly entered the room, clutching her phone. Ethan, she said softly, someone just texted me about you. Ethan's head snapped up. What did they say? Lily hesitated, fear in her eyes. They told me to keep you distracted, to keep you here. Ethan's breath caught. You answered them? She shook her head frantically. I didn't, I swear. His mind raced, torn between anger and despair. Lily, you have to leave now, he shouted. But before she could respond, a shadow passed outside the window. Ethan's blood ran cold. Someone was already watching. They weren't safe anywhere. The next message came just after midnight. Ethan's phone buzzed violently, and he opened it with trembling hands. A live video feed appeared, showing a terrified young man bound to a chair in a dark room. Oh no, Ethan whispered, his voice cracking. A distorted voice said, 1 hour closer, Ethan, this is what happens when you fail. Before Ethan could react, the figure on screen screamed as the feed abruptly cut to static. Lily covered her mouth, sobbing. Ethan collapsed against the wall, grief and rage colliding. I should have stopped this, he choked out. A new text appeared on the screen, 23 hours remaining. Ethan sat at the edge of his bed, clutching the strange object and the blood-stained scarf. His mind raced as he replayed every word the mysterious stranger had spoken. Lily entered the room quietly, her face pale and eyes red from crying. Ethan, you need to rest, she said softly. Ethan's voice was hoarse. I can't. Someone out there wants me to fail, and I don't know who to trust anymore. Lily reached for his hand, but he pulled back sharply. Even you, he whispered. Lily gasped, tears welling in her eyes. You think I'd hurt you? Ethan's voice cracked. I don't know what to think. A faint noise outside made them both freeze. Someone was listening, just beyond the walls, feeding his growing paranoia. Determined to understand the symbols, Ethan followed an old address scribbled on the back of the note. It led to a cluttered antique shop on the edge of town. Inside, a strange man sorted through dusty books and relics. You must be Ethan, the man said without looking up. Ethan froze. Who are you? The man finally turned, revealing wild eyes and an unnerving grin. Names don't matter, he replied. But those symbols, they've been used by a group that plays games with lives. Ethan's voice trembled. What kind of game? The man leaned close, whispering, one that only ends in blood. Ethan's stomach churned as he realized he might finally have found a clue. But at what cost? Later that night, Ethan received a message with a location pin and a single word. Come. Against his better judgment, he went alone. The location turned out to be a decrepit parking garage, empty and echoing. His footsteps reverberated through the concrete cavern as he called out, Hello, who's there? A faint click sounded behind him, and a heavy gate slammed shut. Ethan spun around, heart racing, realizing he was trapped. A distorted voice filled the space, booming from hidden speakers. You want answers? Then survive the night. Lights flickered on one by one, revealing cameras pointed directly at him. Ethan understood too late. This wasn't a meeting. It was a setup, and he was the main attraction. Ethan darted toward the nearest exit, only to find it chained shut. A loud metallic snap echoed behind him as a metal bar crashed down where he had been standing seconds before. They're toying with me, he gasped, breath ragged. Lights flickered violently, plunging the garage into darkness. Ethan stumbled through the shadows, every noise amplified in his pounding ears. He finally spotted a service door propped open slightly by a piece of rebar. Summoning every ounce of strength, he sprinted and burst through it into the cold night air. Behind him, the garage went silent again, as if nothing had happened. His escape was narrow, but the message was clear. They wanted him alive, for now. Back at home, Ethan collapsed against the wall, clutching his phone. The timer now read 12:00, half the time gone. They're speeding it up, he whispered, horror creeping into his voice. Lily knelt beside him, shaking. We can go to the police again, she pleaded. Ethan shook his head violently. Hayes won't believe us. No one will. A sudden crash outside made them both flinch. Ethan peered through the blinds and saw a masked figure retreating into the night. His voice was barely a whisper. They're watching every move we make. Lily grabbed his hand, tears streaming down her face. Then we fight back, she said, surprising Ethan with her resolve. For the first time, hope flickered beneath the crushing fear. Ethan paced the kitchen floor, the timer on his phone glaring 11:45. Lily sat at the table, silent and pale, her hands clenched tightly. Someone close to me is feeding them information, Ethan said, his voice shaking with rage. Lily's lip trembled. Ethan, you're scaring me. Before he could respond, a faint buzz came from her pocket. His eyes narrowed. Whose phone is that? Lily froze. Ethan snatched it from her, unlocking the screen to reveal messages. Keep him calm. Don't let him leave. Ethan stumbled back, breath catching. It's you, he whispered. Tears filled Lily's eyes. I didn't want to hurt you. They said they'd kill me if I didn't obey. Ethan's anger crumbled into devastation as he realized she was both victim and betrayer. Ethan stormed out into the rain-soaked street, clutching his jacket tightly. Rage and confusion twisted inside him. Suddenly, a car screeched to a stop beside him. The door swung open to reveal a rugged man with sharp features and wary eyes. Get in if you want to live, the man barked. Ethan hesitated. Who the hell are you? The man gave a quick glance around before saying, Name's Cole. I've been watching them for years. Ethan climbed in reluctantly as rain pounded the roof. Cole sped off, explaining, You're not the first. They've done this before. But you might be the last one who can stop it. Ethan stared at him, distrust battling with desperation. For now, they shared a common enemy. Cole drove fast, tires hissing on the slick road. These people operate in shadows, he said, his voice low. Every victim's connected to something bigger. Ethan stared at the glowing timer on his phone. 9:30 Dow. Bigger how? He asked, teeth clenched. Cole handed him a folder filled with photos and documents. Ethan's hands shook as he flipped through them. Each image showed someone terrified, just like him, with a red X scrawled over their face. All these people disappeared, Cole explained grimly. No bodies, no answers. Ethan's stomach churned. Why me? Cole glanced at him. Because you have something they need. Ethan slammed the folder shut, realizing the conspiracy was far wider than he ever imagined. Cole pulled into an abandoned gas station, the canopy lights flickering weakly. We can't beat them head on, he said. But maybe we can buy time. Ethan glared at him. What do you mean? Cole leaned closer. There's someone in their ranks who might be willing to talk. She's scared, but she'll deal if we can guarantee her safety. Ethan's heart pounded. And you trust her? Cole shook his head. No, but it's all we've got. Ethan exhaled shakily. Set it up. As they spoke, Ethan's phone buzzed with a new message. 8 hours left. Tick-tock. The glowing numbers seemed to pulse like a heartbeat, pushing Ethan closer to the edge. They met in a derelict train yard, mist curling around the rusted tracks. The mysterious stranger appeared from the fog, her hood drawn low. Ethan's voice was bitter. Why are you helping us now? She didn't answer right away, just handed Cole a small device. This will lead you to the heart of it, she said cryptically. Ethan stepped forward. You knew this whole time what was happening. She finally met his gaze. Knowing and stopping are different things. Before Ethan could press her further, headlights flared in the distance. They've found us, she hissed, vanishing into the mist as quickly as she'd appeared. Cole grabbed Ethan's arm. We move now, or we're dead. Rain hammered down as Ethan and Cole crouched behind an abandoned van, watching a fortified warehouse in the distance. Floodlights swept the perimeter like searching eyes. This is where they keep their records, Cole whispered. Ethan's jaw tightened. Then this is where we start tearing them apart. He clutched the device given by the mysterious stranger, its screen glowing faintly with a pulsing dot. We get inside, grab proof and expose them, Ethan said firmly. Cole gave him a sharp look. They'll kill us before they let that happen. Ethan exhaled slowly. Then we make it count. Lightning split the sky as they dashed across the muddy lot, their bodies low and swift, moving toward the very heart of the nightmare. As they slipped through a side entrance, Ethan froze at the sight of Detective Hayes waiting inside, gun drawn. End of the line, Hayes growled. Ethan's heart dropped. You're working for them, he realized, horror creeping in. Hayes smirked. You think this city runs on truth? It runs on fear. Cole stepped forward, fists clenched. We don't have time for your corruption, old man. Hayes aimed his weapon steadily. Then you won't have time at all. In a split-second decision, Ethan hurled the glowing device at Hayes. The lights flickered wildly, and alarms blared. Hayes stumbled back as Cole tackled him. Run! Cole shouted. Ethan sprinted deeper into the building, as chaos erupted behind him. Ethan raced down a narrow corridor, his breath ragged. Behind him, footsteps thundered, and bullets sparked off metal walls. He dove through a doorway, crashing into a dark storage room filled with old machinery. He crouched low, holding his breath as shadows moved past the slats of the door. A masked figure entered, scanning the room with a flashlight beam slicing through the darkness. Ethan's pulse pounded in his ears as he gripped a rusted pipe, ready to fight. The figure paused inches from his hiding spot, then turned away, fooled by the darkness. As the door creaked shut, Ethan collapsed silently to his knees, barely holding himself together. In a small hidden office at the back of the warehouse, Ethan rifled through files and photographs. Each document revealed another layer of horror, names, locations, and countdown logs. His hands shook as he found his own photo, a red circle drawn around his face. Why me? He whispered. Cole burst into the room, panting. We don't have long. Ethan held up the file. They've been planning this for years. The object wasn't random, it's the key to their whole system. Cole's eyes widened. Then we take it all, and burn them to the ground. Ethan nodded, determination finally overtaking his fear. As they fled the warehouse, Ethan's phone buzzed violently. The timer glared 1, 0, 0, each digit pulsing like a heartbeat. 1 hour, he gasped. Suddenly, headlights cut through the rain, and black SUVs screeched to a halt, blocking their escape. Masked figures poured out, weapons raised. Cole shoved Ethan behind a rusted barrier. Go! I'll hold them off. Ethan grabbed his arm. You won't survive. Cole's eyes were fierce. Neither will you if you stay. Ethan ran through the darkness, heart pounding, as Cole's shouts and gunfire echoed behind him. The night swallowed the sounds, leaving only the relentless ticking of the clock. Ethan stumbled into an abandoned church, rain dripping from his soaked jacket. The glow of the timer on his phone read 0:45. Darrowed. His chest heaved as he scanned the empty pews. A slow clap echoed through the cavernous space. Detective Hayes emerged from the shadows, his wrinkled coat slick with rain. Ethan's voice trembled. "It was you all along." Hayes smirked, eyes cold. "You never understood. Fear isn't just power, it's currency." Ethan's fists clenched. "You killed them, all those people." Hayes stepped closer, his tone calm and chilling. "No, Ethan. I gave them purpose, and now you'll play your part." Ethan's breath caught as the final puzzle piece fell into place. Hayes was orchestrating everything from the very beginning. Hayes circled Ethan like a predator, voice smooth and venomous. "This city forgets its sins unless reminded. I simply remind them." Ethan's stomach churned as he demanded, "Why me?" Hayes grinned. "Because your father once tried to expose us. When he failed, we made sure his legacy ended with you." Ethan's knees nearly buckled. "My father was one of you?" Hayes shook his head slowly. "No, he was a fool who believed in justice. Now you'll carry his burden by dying for it." Ethan's rage ignited, replacing fear with cold determination. "No," he growled. "I'm ending this tonight." Hayes only smiled, a serpent pleased with the hunt. Suddenly, a crash echoed from the back of the church. Cole staggered in, blood soaking his shirt, his gun barely steady in his hand. "Run, Ethan!" he shouted, voice ragged. Hayes turned, snarling. "Persistent fool." A shot rang out, striking Cole in the side. Ethan screamed, rushing to his friend as Hayes advanced. Cole grabbed Ethan's arm, gasping, "Don't waste this chance." His eyes, fierce even in pain, locked on Ethan's. "Stop him. End this." Another shot boomed, and Cole slumped lifelessly to the floor. Ethan's world shattered. Rage and grief merged into unbreakable resolve. Hayes laughed softly. "Another piece falls." Ethan staggered toward the altar, clutching the glowing device given by the mysterious stranger. His mind replayed every symbol, every clue. Then it clicked. The symbols weren't random. They were coordinates. The device wasn't just a key, it was a detonator. "Oh God," Ethan whispered. Hayes tilted his head, amused. "Smart boy." Ethan's hands trembled as he realized the countdown wasn't just about him. "You're not killing one person," Ethan said, voice breaking. "You're going to take out half the city." Hayes spread his arms like a preacher. "And from the ashes, a new order will rise." Ethan's jaw tightened. "Not if I stop you." The timer blared 0:10, digits flashing like a heartbeat. Ethan lunged for the device, but Hayes grabbed him, the two men crashing into broken pews. They grappled viciously, trading blows as splintered wood flew. Hayes slammed Ethan to the floor, snarling, "You can't save them." Ethan, bloodied and desperate, kneed Hayes in the chest, breaking free. He sprinted toward the exit, clutching the device as rain poured outside. Behind him, Hayes screamed his name, the church collapsing into chaos. Ethan burst into the storm, gasping. With seconds left, he had one chance to stop the nightmare, or die trying. The storm raged as Ethan sprinted through the drenched streets, clutching the glowing device to his chest. The timer read 0:40, the digits flashing like a death knell. Behind him, tires screeched, and headlights cut through the darkness. A black SUV skidded to a halt, and Detective Hayes emerged, gun drawn, his face lit by lightning. "It ends here, Ethan," Hayes growled. Ethan turned, soaked and shaking. "You've taken everything from me," he shouted over the wind. Hayes's smirk was cold. "And I'll take the rest when the clock hits 0. Ethan's grip tightened on the device. "Then you'll have to kill me first." The two men lunged, colliding in a final violent clash beneath the storm. Ethan and Hayes struggled fiercely in the rain, fists and rage colliding. Hayes slammed Ethan against a wrecked car, snarling, "You can't win." Ethan gasped, blood mixing with rainwater. "I don't need to win," he spat back. In a burst of strength, Ethan drove his shoulder into Hayes, knocking him off balance. The device slipped from Ethan's grasp, skidding across the street. Both men dove for it. Hayes grabbed Ethan's leg, dragging him back. "This city will burn with you," he roared. Ethan kicked free, snatched the device, and made a split-second choice. "Then I'll take it with me," he whispered, sprinting toward the edge of the flooded pier as the timer ticked 0, 1, 0. Ethan reached the very edge of the pier as the timer blared 0, 0, 10. Hayes stumbled after him, screaming, "You'll kill us both." Ethan turned, determination blazing in his eyes. "Better us than everyone else." With a final roar, he hurled the device into the raging water. Hayes lunged in desperation, but Ethan tackled him, both men crashing onto the wet wood. The timer vanished beneath the waves, sinking into darkness. A muffled rumble echoed deep below. Then silence. Ethan gasped, his chest heaving. Hayes lay unconscious beside him. The storm raged on, but for a moment, the world felt eerily still. Morning broke slowly, gray light replacing the storm's fury. Police cars lined the pier, their flashing lights reflecting on wet pavement. Paramedics loaded Hayes into an ambulance, his face pale and still. Ethan sat on the edge of the dock, a blanket draped over his shoulders. Lily rushed toward him, tears streaming. "Ethan," she cried, embracing him tightly. His voice was hoarse. "It's over. For now." Lily pulled back, searching his eyes. "But at what cost?" Ethan glanced at the water, remembering Cole's final moments, the lives lost, and the haunting truth. "Too much," he whispered, hollow and broken. The world around them seemed quieter, but far from safe. Later that evening, Ethan sat alone in his darkened living room, staring at the silent phone on the table. Lily had gone to rest, leaving him with his thoughts. The storm was gone, but unease lingered like a shadow. Suddenly, his phone lit up with a new message. His breath caught as he read the single line, "Round 2 begins now." Ethan's trembling hand dropped the phone. Outside, in the reflection of the window, a masked figure stood perfectly still, watching. The screen faded to black as the sound of a distant, ominous ticking filled the silence.